Yesterday, while at work, I came up with some systems or some ideas that I wanted to discuss this morning. And it's about the biggest motivators in our lives are stress. And because my 2 cents is about duality, I was trying to figure out what the duality of stress is. Like, what is the opposite of being stressed? Is it being calm? Is it being relaxed? Is it being focused? Like, what is the opposite of stress? And what I realized is that there is no opposite of stress. Stress itself is polarized. Stress is the way that the body acknowledges that there is something not okay. If you're in a okay environment, if you're in an okay system and you're dealing with a okay reality, then you're not stressed. So stress is the state of not okay, and it is the spectrum of not okayness. So you're either stressed or you're not. And all stress is adversities or complications that the body has to deal with. So there are two kinds of stress. Or at least in the context of what I'm going to frame, there are two kinds of stress. There is, what did I say? Oh, there's distress and there's depression. And since we don't really use depression as a term, we don't associate it with stress. We don't think of it in that regard, right? Humans are creatures of free will. We are creatures of autonomy. We are creatures of agency. We are born with the desire to be autonomous and with the desire to have agency and the desire to be free of our own will. But we are locked into an adolescent infant body that is completely dependent upon our parents to achieve the things that we're trying to achieve in life, right? So we go through life as infants, and then once we're in this infant stage where we can't do anything, we can't even regulate our own bodies, we become not adolescents, we become toddlers, and then toddlers have the agency to formulate incoherent thoughts and reasonings, but are still limited by the natural processes of the body. And then we become adolescents. Adolescents are able to have some control over the dominion of their body and can form thoughts and can reason fairly well, but don't have enough understanding about the world to form a complete picture of the things that they're trying to achieve and trying to do. And it's at that stage that we start to piece together our ethics system of understanding what we want to do in relation to what we have to do in relation to what we can do. And that's when our parents really start to have a more heavily influence within us, because at that age we start actually having desires and ambitions we start having desires and ambitions and wanting to actually achieve objectives and goals, even if they're limited to being young. And our parents typically start telling us no. So within that spectrum of our parents constantly telling us no, that we can't do this, or no, you can't do that, we start to realize that, oh, there's limits to what I can do. So our agency kind of reinforces within these limits, and we start to actually move the way we want to move. We start to actually achieve the goals that we want to achieve and start actually going. So we continue to get older. We continue to be told no. We continue to be told we can't do things. We continue to have our own desires. We continue to have our own ambitions. And then we reach adolescence. And at adolescence, we start to push back against the limitations that are put on us by outside influences with regards to what we can and can't do. What we desire to do is already limited by our own bodies and our own minds. And then what people tell us we're allowed to do is further limiting our desire to be the persons that we are trying to be before we're even able to even know what that is. So as you're already trying to figure out what it is that you want to be or what you want to do or what you're trying to achieve, you have to navigate these limitations that the world and society and your own physical existence puts on you. And then you have to kind of choose the lesser of those evils. So within all of that comes a state of stress, because as long as you're not in any kind of opposition to anything else, you're pretty bland. You're pretty just, here. You're just doing what you want to do. You're living your life. You're content. You're fine. It's when you stop being fine, which is a mental state, that you start to move into the spectrum of stress. And the spectrum of stress doesn't always have to be you're a soldier in some war-torn country taking fire. It could just be as simple as you haven't drinking enough water today and your body is dehydrated, so it's giving you these signals of stress. You have something that needs to be dealt with that is causing you to be outside of your homeostasis. Since we don't care about the homeostasis of a person's body, since we're not being taught how to understand how we feel and how to regulate ourselves, because we're constantly doing what? We're constantly having to react to somebody else's homeostasis. And since we have to react to somebody else's homeostasis, their stress becomes our stress. And since they don't understand their body's stress, they don't understand how to regulate themselves, they're constantly making us do things that comes from signals and arbitrary realities that are not relevant to even themselves. How can you ask me to regulate your stress if, just like I don't understand my own stress, you don't understand your stress, so you want me to react to your bullshit when you don't even know what your bullshit is, right? So that's the foundational reality of the things that are taking place around us all the time, every day. And yesterday at work, I came to the realization that there is distress and there is depression, and they are opposite spectrums of stress. And we don't understand that they are opposite stress, but we don't understand that they are opposite spectrums of stress, which is the reason why we don't treat them as if they are the same thing. A person is depressed because they do not have the autonomy or the agency that they desire to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And a person is depressed because they have the autonomy and the desire to achieve the goals and desires that they want to achieve, but they can't. They're not allowed to. So in that state of not moving, they're either going to be distressed or they're going to be depressed, because they're going to feel as though they are not capable of achieving the objectives that they want to achieve. The depression part is always a byproduct of not having enough control and enough agency and enough autonomy, and not being able to achieve the things that you want and need and desire, while not being able to eliminate either one of those conditions, right? You either want to have a car or you want to drive a car, and every condition that requires you to achieve any of those two things is outside or beyond your control. So you fall into depression. You want to own a car, but you spent your whole life being reckless with your driving and your inability to manage a car. So now you are no longer allowed to have a car. Owning a car is within your control. Conforming to social norms is not. So now all of a sudden you are in a state of depression. No, I'm sorry. Now you're in a state of distress because you're not allowed to do the thing that you want to do. Not because you don't have the strength or the willpower to do it, but because your agency is being hindered. So that's pretty much it. It would be really awesome if I could just have enough flow to actually achieve the things that I'm trying to achieve.
Thank you for choosing
Maybe
McDonald's.
one day I
Would you
will.
like to use the mobile app
But
today?
for right now, no.
Go
But
ahead.
may I have a steak bagel,
Okay.
extra onions, extra breakfast sauce,
Extra onion, extra what?
breakfast sauce,
Okay.
and a hash brown.
Anything else?
No, that's everything.
Thank you.
But I'm getting there. It's only a matter of time before I'm able to achieve all of the objectives I have in place. So as always, my name is Paul Emerson. I've given you my 2 cents.